Hello, this is Mount Markham Team A, Renewable Energy for a Sustainable Future.
How oil, natural gas, and coal systems generate electricity and potential issues when expanding product production. Non-renewable energy. Hang on, this is. Non-renewables are burned to create heat, which generates electricity. Burning these natural gases, oils, and coals release harmful toxins into our atmosphere like methane, carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, nitrogen, and hydrocarbons. And these toxins can deplete the ozone layer. Environmental and socioeconomic advantages and disadvantages with natural gas. It can be easily transported. It releases 45% less carbon dioxide than coal and 30% less than oil. Disadvantages, it's a non-renewable resource. It releases harmful toxins into the environment and affects quality of life, worsens asthma symptoms, and can reduce lung function.
Environmental and socioeconomic advantages and disadvantage of oil. So it can be easily stored, it can lower energy costs for consumers, it's readily available for societal uses, and some disadvantages. Toxic gases are released from burning oil, and it takes time to find oil fields.
Environmental and socioeconomic advantages and disadvantages. Some advantages are abundant, lower costs for consumers, reduces the need shared resources, infrastructure is placed to acquire coal and is a reliable source for energy creation. Some disadvantages are non-renewable resources, coal mining harms the environment, and the burning coal contributes to the greenhouse gas emissions.
So setup and design of traditional energy infrastructure and distribution systems. Traditional energy infrastructure is composed of our power plants and power lines. So fossil fuel plants burn natural gas and coal to produce heat, which is converted into electricity and transported through transmission lines. Transmission lines are efficient and high voltage lines that carry electricity from power plants to substations. Our distribution systems are intricate networks of power lines that branch out from substations and bring electricity to the consumer.
How solar, wind, and hydroelectric systems generate electricity. So solar panels absorb the sunlight from the photovoltaic cells, and they create electrical charges that move due to an internal electrical field. And then you have wind turbines, which generate electricity when the wind speeds are above 5 miles per hour, and those cause the propeller blades to spin and the turbine rotors to spin, which powers the generator that then creates the electricity. And then hydroelectric, the dams are constructed that allow water to flow through pipes in the upper reservoir through turbines that rotate the generators that then produce the electricity. Some potential issues when expanding the solar, wind, and hydroelectric systems are the high upfront costs that it takes to implement the solar panels and wind turbines. And then there's also the scarcity of the different raw materials that are necessary to produce the different solar panels and wind turbines. And then the lifespan is not indefinite, so other systems will have to replace this in the meantime.
So environmental and socioeconomic advantages and disadvantages of some solar is it's reduced energy costs for the consumer. Solar panels are also versatile in many climates. Some disadvantages, materials used to make solar panels cannot be easily disposed of, causing harm to the environment. And some short and long-term impacts, it allows for an influx of employment opportunities, and solar panels on farmland take away a key part of rural economies.
So some environmental and socio-economical advantages and disadvantages of wind energy. Some advantages is that it can create electricity day and night, and it requires a lot less space than it does for solar. Some disadvantages is that it does kill avian species and will kill many within its lifetime. The construction produces noise pollution within the local area, and they're aesthetically unpleasing within the environment. And there are some short-term and long-term impacts is that it creates jobs in the short term, and it can harm different avian species in the long term.
So Some advantages and disadvantages of hydroelectric. Dams are often an attraction for tourism, to fish and partake in recreational activities. They also have a low maintenance cost. Some disadvantages: construction of dams can alter aquatic habitats, and they can also potentially flood previously dry land.
Setup and design of renewable energy infrastructure. So renewable energy systems often need to be located by existing energy infrastructure, such as mainline power lines, which allows for the power to be transported. If the infrastructure is not present or can't handle the amount of power being generated by renewable energy sources, then batteries may not be incorporated into the project. So it makes it a lot more difficult to spread the alternative energy. This is often seen in residential projects. Projects of this size are often not done in areas of high population density and are done in rural areas, which affect their local economies.
Recent technological advancements within solar, wind, and hydroelectric. For the solar, it influxes in utilizing perovskite materials to produce solar cells and allows cells to be more flexible and lightweight. It increases of multi-junction panels, which can capture a broader range of light. And for the wind, it produces larger, more efficient turbines. And for hydroelectric, it utilizes smaller bodies of water and allows less environmental destruction. Challenges associated with transitioning to renewable energy sources. The cost is the initial investment costs are pricey, especially for large-scale projects. The alternatives require certain weather conditions, and most existing infrastructure and grid systems are designed for non-renewable energy sources. Transitioning these to alternative energy source would require upgrades and modifications to accommodate the power generation and decentralize energy production of alternative energy sources.
Solutions associated with renewable energy sources, environmental and socioeconomic. The cost: educating the public on these topics can gain government support. This includes tax incentives, grants, and regulations to encourage investment with these projects. The weather is a problem, and there are many methods that accommodate all weather conditions and allow for more efficient energy all over the world. And we can upgrade grids and infrastructure to integrate renewable energy resources. Smart grid technology can optimize energy distribution and balance supply and demand.
How energy regulations are created at the local, state, and international levels, and how regulations impact producers and consumers. Energy is regulated at the state and municipal levels by public service commissions. Regulations are created through local, state, and federal legislation and incentives. The FERC was created to regulate the interstate transmission of electricity, natural gas, and oil. Incentives such as tax credits and energy efficiency grants impacts licensing is required and protect consumers from monopolistic practices. Accountability process for pollution, emissions, and distribution at the local, state, and international level. The accountability process for pollution and emissions is complex for energy producers, subject to policy incentives and carbon pricing, which is charges on emissions of greenhouse gases. Legislation is used to regulate the power of emissions, such as the Clean Air Act, which limits the regulations of certain air pollutants. Energy generation and distribution. According to the EIA, 60% of the electricity created from fossil fuels, renewable energy is 21.4%, and nuclear is 18.6%. Financial programs in the green energy space and the socioeconomic and environmental impacts of financial programs. Financial programs incentivize the consumers to convert to renewable energy through incentives, rebates, and subsidies, and these are done by the NYSERDA and the United States Department of Energy and the EPA. And then there's some impacts on these financial programs, such as lessening the environmental impact from decreasing the amount of toxins emitted.
Energy use decisions on an individual and household level. So energy use decisions are not linear and contain a mix of factors such as age, race, household income, and household size, etc. Individuals can reduce their energy consumption by not driving their gas and diesel powered vehicles by not driving gas and diesel powered vehicles and shortening the length of showers, and households can reduce their energy consumption by turning off lights when leaving a room, lowering their thermostat by just 1 degree, and purchasing energy efficient appliances.
Vulnerabilities and solution. Vulnerabilities, loss of habitat and biodiversity due to wind and solar energies needing a large amount of space, geographic limitations, high upfront costs. Solar energies can be impacted by cybersecurity attacks. Solutions for this issue is to build more weather-resistant renewable energy infrastructure and use solar panel fields for bee farms and flower fields.
And lamps. And scene.
See, I forgot the works cited for it. God fucking